Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop. Gotcha. Surprise, surprise. What's up, Caleb? Got my cough. I don't know. Maybe we'll be able to go an hour. I'm not sure. Let me see. Okay. The main impetus for movie discussion is because I set my Twitter to for you again. I think I was saying I don't do the for you because that's the algorithm taking over and suggesting, and it ends up spinning out of control into oblivion of like trash that you don't want. Like an example, even YouTube algorithm does this too. But if I click on like a raccoon nature video, a bunch of nature videos are AI these days now too. So I'm pretty much given up completely on the nature videos. But I click on a raccoon one and then YouTube's like, "Oh, you like raccoon videos? Do you like nothing but raccoon videos?" I'm like, "No, I like my raccoon videos to be like 1 in 100 of." That's what if you could program the algorithm, you should be able to do like ratios or something because it always gets the ratio wrong. But yeah, the for you was messing with me, so I turned it off. But then I turned it back on again, and it kind of reset. But it's almost gives me like too much movie stuff. And I do like the movie discussions, but on X, the movie stuff is funny because they call it movie Twitter, and then I guess it's kind of like oh shoot, what's it even called? Letterboxed. It's kind of like Letterboxed. But then there's right wing film Twitter, which I like a lot more, but they vex me too. And this Tarantino thing, I guess so. Not that I don't want to pretend like I'm above it, but it's annoying me and it's vexing me. I'm like confused a little bit about the reactions. There hasn't been one person who says like who says like good list, thanks for sharing or something. I don't know. Like literally everyone basically got mad. I've never seen a I guess top 10 lists like that. And this is top 20 that Tarantino released. He released it in two parts. There's a 20 through 11 and then a 10 through 1. And yeah, the 20 through 11 right wing film Twitter kind of liked it. And then uh 10 through 1, everyone hated it. Cam, what's up, man? How's it going? So yeah, I can throw it up here. Let me see here. But there's a few random things like if I could jump into what I was on my mind like right to begin with. I think another thing too like a little to get started or whatever is this is loosely like film criticism land is like film Twitter, people talking about movies. And I definitely have an appreciation for that. I feel like it is a little bit like I don't know if with TV and movies, like, do you ever guys ever get paranoid that if you watch too many bad movies, it's actually bad for you and it's going to make you like, if you're trying to be a good storyteller or something, it's like sometimes you just don't even want to watch bad stuff. Sometimes you want to watch it and it can inspire you or it can show you what not to do. But a lot of times I'm like, I just don't even want to take that in. And criticism can be like that too. I get paranoid where I'm like, I don't even know if I want this opinion to be like a possibility, but on the flip side too, you'll hear opinions that are kind of outside the box and you'll hear general philosophies of criticism that I hadn't particularly thought of before. And a lot of that I got from white right-wing film Twitter, which I don't know if they'd agree with this, but I almost think they're like of the school of Pauline Kael, who is ironically Tarantino's favorite critic. And I follow one account on Twitter called the Pauline Kael bot. Maybe we can look at some of those tweets later. You kind of would wonder. It'd be cool to know what she thinks in her prime of like Tarantino's list or what her list would be. And Tarantino famously said a few years ago that movies suck now. It's like movies haven't been that good. That's the one thing I was thinking is if you try to make your list, I can think of a bunch from 2000 to 2010, but I can't think of that many after that. And I'm like, is that because I quit watching movies? Not really, but yeah, Pauline Kael, she almost I give her credit. This is a just me. This is not a real fact, but I kind of give her credit for like inventing psychological film criticism, where she's like analyzing the psychology of the filmmaker themselves, and it can be she'll reveal blind spots and yeah, they're blind. They'll point out blind spots where I'm like, I did not see that. I just enjoyed the movie, and you're like, oh yeah, there is like some weird blind spots that this movie has. I could give an example. So anyway, right wing film Twitter does that too. Uh, One example is right wing film Twitter hates Parasite, which Parasite get it won Best Picture, and that one is generally lauded as like making a lot of people's top fives maybe of this century, and it's not on Tarantino's list, which is a very like interesting omission. And right wing film Twitter likes that. And that movie that they would say in the Pauline Kael sense is like psychoanalyzing the creator is like Parasite is a anti-poor, pro-rich movie, which is kind of a weird flip. Um, and I think that's kind of about it. But that's like something you wouldn't exactly think, and maybe you wouldn't necessarily take offense to. That's kind of my issues. I kind of like that movie. I don't care that the poor people are bad, but I think if I rewatch it, because I'm trying to remember, it's like it didn't have a good ending. It had some good stuff, and then the ending made kind of no sense, and it was kind of mean spirited, kind of weird, like that, and it kind of removed any possibility of there even being a good guy. You weren't sure what the movie's even trying to say at that point, almost, except maybe just that these poor people really suck or something like that. So yeah, and another one that's come up kind of under this lens now because of Tarantino's list is Black Hawk Down, which got listed as number one. Now, I don't think right wing Twitter doesn't like it and left wing Twitter doesn't like it. They both are calling it a propaganda film. This is another thing where I'm like, okay, and I saw a tweet, let me see, that kind of explains what they're thinking, I think. Shoot, where is it? Okay, yeah, yeah. About this is about Black Hawk Down. So people are listening, trying to remember like that movie. I think I don't know if it's 2001 or what. Where is it related to 9/11 and stuff? But it's it's definitely of like Team America, World Police, and then like Black Hawk Down is about us being World Police. This is like a little bit what people talk about, but so I do remember that movie making a huge splash when it came out. I remember being super intense and awesome. I bought it on DVD, watched it a ton, and I mentioned this on Twitter, but I always I ignorantly, deliberately ignorantly, always looked at it as a zombie movie, and it being like my favorite zombie movie, maybe tied with Dawn of the Dead, which is like my favorite movie ever. But it's like, yeah, like soldiers surrounded by just like crowds of frothing people running at them or whatever. That's like what Black Hawk Down is. And so, yeah, so this is the critique. Like that almost is like, in a way, that is a critique, what I just said, but I like it. And if you call it propaganda, that's one thing I was thinking is like, I really don't think propaganda is bad at all. I don't think fantasy is bad, male fantasy or female fantasy, liberal fantasy or conservative fantasy. I don't think all those sometimes people will have criticisms that will just make you want to look more into it. And that's something. If anything is related to fantasy, then I want to check it out. And same with well, propaganda. I'm interested in, and I think, yeah, anyway, propaganda is totally valid form of art or whatever. But so here's the line though, what they say, like, bro, it's a whitewash of the US intervention in Somalia when we just decided to back a random side in a civil war, and when locals got unhappy with them, our brave troops started mowing down peasants. Oh, and the movie does not treat Somalis as people. Like I kind of remember that imagery. That's why I think of it as a zombie movie or whatever. But it's focused on, the like the soldiers from the point of view of the soldiers. It's not trying to like follow a Somali dude. They show some Somali leadership in it, which is good. It's good they do that, I guess. I don't know, but yeah. So this is like a good take, and it's a little bit outside the box. It's a little bit something that could almost like change your mind. I mentioned last week on Creative Block, like I will change my mind. And I found this is like a personality type where I forget what they call it. You're like a pushover is like a bad way to put it. You're impressionable is like a personality type. I am very impressionable, always have been. I think it's like definitely some pros and cons. So there are like negative aspects to it for sure. But I kind of like my ability to have my opinion swayed all the time. Uh, and oh, Cam says agreeable. Yeah, impressionable, agreeable. Yeah, agreeable sounds even more negative to me a little bit. That sounds like you're being fake just to get by, kind of. Impressionable sounds like you're just like easily get your mind changed. You listen to anyone or whatever. But yeah. So anyway, this is like a good kind of a good take, but nevertheless, I still feel like this movie. But one thing I want to do because of this list, putting Black Hawk Down at number one, it makes me just want to rewatch it. That's kind of my main takeaway at this point. Um, but so 4 people watching. How's it going, everyone? Say hi if you're in the chat. Uh, the Rolling Stones top 20 of 2025. This is like so. I thought at first I was like, oh, did Rolling Stone do a 21st century one too? And I'm like, oh, I haven't heard of like a bunch of these movies. On Becoming a Guinea Fowl, Orwell, like I haven't heard of these. That's like I would kind of expect a top 20. This is what I'm trying to think of why people were surprised about Tarantino's thing is because there were no movies I hadn't heard of. And I'm like, am I missing something? And then I was trying to think of like, well, what else would you put on it? Like, what are people's like objections to his list? And we can look at his list a little bit more here. So yeah, some of you might call outside the box. All these movies are good, a lot of them are like kind of special. Like, and then there's some that right wing Twitter liked a lot. Right wing Twitter is also a little bit more contrarian, which I like that too. I have kind of that, but I have almost like the contrarian of the contrarian. So sometimes I like even like resist that kind of thing. But Devil's Rejects is kind of a special little movie. Passion of the Christ, obviously, super special movie. Jackass is a special movie. Maybe Cabin Fever, although that's kind of just putting his friend in there a little bit. And then in the top 10 is down here. Midnight in Paris is a very special movie. I think that's one that right wing film Twitter hates. Actually, I'm not sure though. But a lot of people hate that movie. A lot of people love it because it's almost not a movie in a weird way, or it's not the way you'd think. That's what I like about it. It's outside the box narratively and structurally, and it is a fantasy movie. It's a specific kind of male fantasy. Maybe it could be female too, but nostalgia based, just like nostalgia fantasy. You might just call it that, and that's all it's doing. But it's not trying to trick you. It's not trying to do anything other than that, and it does it really well. It's really charming and fun. It could be the kind of movie that you could become like a comfort movie for many people, where you watch it like hundreds of times or whatever. Cam says, "You're an agreeable contrarian, an enigma." Yeah. Actually, that's almost like a villain archetype. And I picture it as like, yeah, like agreeable in person and then contrarian as soon as you aren't in person. That's like a villain almost. I got to work on that. Whatever. I could self inspect. Yeah, so yeah, I look at these lists, I'm like, yeah, they're all great movies. I guess, and then so some people are like, why did you rank this one higher than this one? I'm not as concerned about that. Like, if anything's making the list, that's kind of more what I'm curious about. And the main thing I was like is like, yeah, what else would you put on here? Like, there weren't that many good movies after 2010. That's one thing. And we could look at like what is one best picture and what were the nominations. Maybe we can find that for the all 25 years of this century. To see like what would people even put on the list. But yeah, like I'm curious if there are like, do I have blind spots? Are there any I haven't put on? Someone was joking, like, excuse me, he didn't put on, he's like, excuse me, where's Fast and Furious 9? Fast X? Where's Fast 8? Where's Fast and Furious 7? And like Fast and Furious could almost go on the list in a special way because it started one of the biggest franchises. So that's like a kind of a special thing. And Paul Walker passed away. That makes it special. A little bit to context of this is Tarantino. It is a memory based list, i.e., like it's anti-memory hole movies. Because that's another funny thing is like memory hole movies. Some of these almost were memory hole, but Tarantino brought them back. But yeah, movies will just die, and and then they might resurface and maybe get a reappraisal or whatever. But yeah, you can picture what movies stick in your mind. And one thing I was thinking, like, well, if I made a list, what would even be on it? I was like, well, what movies did I see twice in theaters? I'd start with that. And that's like Pirates of the Caribbean. Titanic came out in the 90s, so that doesn't count, but I saw that twice in theaters. But I saw Pirates of the Caribbean. I saw like like every Nolan movie twice, because a lot of his movies twice at least, like Tenet, Inception, Dark Knight. Um, I saw most recently. I saw One Battle After the Other uh, twice in theaters, or at least twice or whatever. And so yeah, so I mean, you can make these. These are movies that I'll probably remember for a long time. But then yeah, my list is just like, okay, you like Nolan, and yeah, right wing film Twitter doesn't like Nolan. People will dismiss that too. They'll just dismiss you as like a normie if you just love Nolan or whatever. And even like to some degree like Tarantino, because he's admitting his movies. And there's one like uh Inglorious Bastards. That one, right wing film Twitter really doesn't like that one because and this is true, it's again a Pauline Kael, like a really insightful thing that could change your mind on it. But it makes the Jews the bad guys and the Nazis the good guys, even though the Jews win and or the Allies win and the Nazis lose. Um, it portrays the Nazis as heroic martyrs almost, and the Jews as like monsters, which is like pretty much straight up problematic, I guess. But yeah, that stuff it doesn't bother me, from the left wing perspective, from a right wing perspective, propaganda, whatever. I don't care really. I just like that movie. I don't know. Maybe I should think about it more. Maybe if I rewatch it, I will be like, oh. But but yeah, so a lot of these have that kind of thing going on. A lot of movies you can look at from these perspectives. Um, but another one that a lot of these do get in the discourse on X and stuff like Lost in Translation. The left wing hates it because they say it's racist because it's old now, so it's like quote unquote dated. And I got a feeling that movie's awesome. So yeah, whatever, it's on the list. Like that movie making the list seems like normal. But yeah, that people will object to that. Toy Story 3, this is another one. Right-wing Twitter really objected to this one. I didn't quite understand that. I don't know. I don't know where it's coming with. I think it's an okay contrarian take to say the Toy Story trilogy isn't as, or like the whole series, but specifically the trilogy is what people say is really good. That it's overrated. Like that's like, I can see where you're coming from maybe. But the third one I really like, and I almost put it in the little category. I put it market as a special movie too, because like Midnight in Paris, like some of these other ones, because it had really outside the box story structure. It kind of had a movie within the movie for like half the movie. It didn't have a 3-act thing. It did this weird episodic movie within a movie thing where it be randomly in the middle of the movie, as almost like a twist, it morphs into a prison escape movie. It evolves into it. It unfolds in a way that Tarantino loves. That's one thing he said uh, earlier in the 90s. He goes, I need a movie that unfolds. I'm not talking about twists and turns. I'm talking about it unfolds. And I'm like, yes, we got a little bit too much of it's like over Hollywood notified, but a lot of this only really hit, you feel it really bad after like 2016 or something, it's like, it does feel like we're like in an era like, are people forgetting what it was like? There was a reminder though, something else I want to go over that was really fascinating. Can I find it? Yeah, here it is. This is kind of awesome. Um, but I don't know if we should do this right now, or is there more to talk a little bit about the top 10, top 20? Um, but yeah, I guess let's look at the comments for a second, because the thing that I'm really curious about is like, what else would you even put on it? Like, these are good movies you put on it. Like, what are the supposed, from the left wing perspective, and I guess the right, they're like, maybe there's some foreign films that he didn't put on, you know? Um, and I don't know, like in previous lists, he's put on foreign films. Some of them have fallen off. Like he put on Joint Security Area. Korea, South Korea had an awesome run in the 2000s, and um, some people were putting on lists. Yeah, like I Saw the Devil, Joint Security Area. Those are both Lee Byung-hun movies. Those are awesome. And Tarantino put Joint Security Area. He put Battle Royale, made his list. That's the only one that survived. and that one went from being like he had previously rated like number one. But yeah, so there's like some omissions, but you're just like, this is what I was kind of laughing at is okay, so like here's someone gets mad and they say, I don't, I'm not judging anyone, but just in general, mild annoyance that like what is it like? So people are like, oh, Children of Men isn't on the list, bro. I just feel like like fuck Children of Men, fuck a lot of the movies. You can almost you can't exactly say maybe you can, but I don't know if you can say fuck these movies to any of these movies. They're all he picked kind of special little movies. They're hard to say fuck that movie. And this is like getting, whatever. I'm revealing my own shit. But yeah, Children of Men, fuck that movie, yo. Whatever. Michael Clayton, fuck that movie. Mulholland Drive, I love that movie, but so maybe that should have made it the list. Who cares though? Like, I don't know. If you did an extensive list, so we're only talking 25 years, So even if you do one per year, that's like there'd be 25. So maybe five have gotten omitted. And lately, we went through a period there where there weren't that many good movies every year. Like one year, the best movies were like, Barbie and Oppenheimer. And I don't know what else. I forget what one best picture. It wasn't either, or was it Oppenheimer maybe? Um, and yeah, fuck those movies. Like whatever, those are good movies, but those don't feel like that's one thing I think it again a little bit of the Pauline Kael school, the contrarian schools like you can kind of try and keep it like comparing movies are not like sports where in sports we've I don't know if this is even true, but we've gotten better in a lot of ways, even at threes. That it's true with threes at least everyone's got better at shooting threes. It kind of changed the game. This is for like basketball. So basketball is way different now than it was back at certain points. But specifically, say like the 70s, or even the 60s or like 1900. It's like people weren't as good at basketball back then. And the art form of basketball has grown over time and evolved. And you can have your favorites, but it's at least with the 70s or something, it's fair to say like yeah, like we're all better now than we were then. Movies are almost like not like that. Like movies peaked kind of early, and some of these older movies, they're so much better than modern movies that it's like two completely different things. And if you try and keep that relativity, then yeah, you could end up being like seen as someone who doesn't like new movies at all, and you're like there are no new movies. Like you look at what's the best to offer today, and you compare it to like a medium great movie that stood the test of time. Automatically, if it's standing the test of time, like I just watched The Hustler with Paul Newman, and yeah, I was like that movie's better than every movie on this list of of this century. No movie has topped that movie from this century. Uh, and maybe that's mildly debatable. Like I actually really like One Battle After the Other, but that's also recency bias potentially. I'm curious to see how things age. And some things get accused that they're going to age poorly, and I'm like, I think they might age really well, actually. But you got to kind of wait. But it's good if it's a little outside the box what it's trying to do. Then you can kind of appreciate it in time. That's my defense of One Battle After the Other because it gets accused of being a liberal fantasy. And I'm like, well, in a way, that kind of ages it almost in a interesting way, rather than a super stupid way. Um, so it might like survive, but I think it's kind of like coded to withstand that even because it like when I pitch it to my friends, I say like One Battle After the Another. It's the Christmas Adventurers versus the Sisters of the Brave Beaver is like the two forces that are fighting each other. When you put it that way, it's like and it gets compared to this right or wrong, I'm not sure, but to Doctor Strangelove, Awesome one, what's up? Old classic films are better. I'd rather watch a Kurosawa film over a modern day movie. To today's film, miss the plots. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's like one thing we're kind of dealing with is like this. It's another thing Tarantino has said is that we're in a bad era for movies, and people will say, and I want to agree. I think I kind of agree. Like things are getting better. Although, another thing, I watched The Brutalist, which got nominated for Best Picture, Didn't win. I didn't finish it. I watched, of the 3.5 hours, I watched 3 hours. Uh, and that movie was like terrible. It was barely a movie. There wasn't, I don't know. It was weird. It felt weird. I really didn't like it. It didn't feel like a movie in a bad way. Like sometimes something might not feel like a movie in a good way, but um it felt, I wish I could explain better what it felt like. It felt like it yeah, it felt like, I've just been saying I like fantasies. It felt like the fantasy of someone trying to not write a fantasy. So they won't admit they're having a fantasy. They're trying to make their fantasy appear real, and their fantasy is perverted too. So it's like a perverted person trying to deny that they're perverted. That's like what The Brutalist is like. But on top of that, it doesn't match with the old movies as far as like those movies were so good. Like the acting, the scenes, the psychology. The thing I was thinking, I was watching what's it called? I just mentioned it. It's the Paul Newman movie, The Hustler. So The Hustler has like the coolest psychology in every single scene. And I was like, I think at some point that just stopped happening. That's not, and that kind of goes hand in hand with like good acting and stuff. But yeah, like I can give you sort of example maybe, but uh it's George C. Scott's in it. He's also amazing. Paul Newman's in it. There's a scene kind of early on. It's a 2 hour and 10 minute movie, and the first like 40 minutes or so is like one scene, and it's just like an epic pool game for like $18,000. And by pool game, they play for 25 hours straight, I think, or something, and they're like drinking the whole time. And Paul Newman ends up kind of getting too drunk and losing, but at one point he's up 18,000, and they're trying to decide, the other side, if they should give up or if they should keep fronting money because maybe Paul Newman's going to crash out and they'll get their money back. And George C. Scott looks at him and he goes, "Keep going. This guy's a loser." And Paul Newman goes, "What did he say?" And it kind of makes him mad, and he drinks more, and he totally loses all his money. Um but the psychology of this guy who's actually better than anyone in the room, who's winning, he's up $18,000, and another guy looks at him and calls him a loser. And what does he see? You're like, what does he see in this guy? Because the whole movie is kind of about that, about how it's about like subconscious, how we might actually get comfortable with losing and actually subconsciously want that because we can't handle winning. And I was like, this movie is like uh comparable to a movie I haven't seen, but everyone talks about. It's called Whiplash. Whiplash is a movie that people would argue to put on the top 20 of this century. And then again, like, yeah, some people hate it. I think right wing Twitter might hate it, say it's like mean spirited or something. Because again, it's a little bit that blind spot of like, you watch Whiplash and it's kind of inspiring, but you're like, oh, it's actually like mean spirited too. And if you see that, then you kind of wake up. You can change your mind potentially if you want to, or you can kind of enjoy it, whatever. But it's good to hear the arguments, especially when they're good, for and against these things. But for sure, I feel like The Hustler is like better than Whiplash by like kind of a ton, and they feel kind of similar. Actually, another one though that I kind of want to see is this year, Marty Supreme with the Safdies. I love the Safdies. They would make my list. I would put Good Time would absolutely make my top 10, and that was like what, 2019, 2020. I don't know. I love that movie. Super inspiring. And there is a little bit of them. There almost are like outside the box specialness kind of thing. Like they're kind of coming up with some new stuff. Awesome one says, "Rip Queen, Alex Wither, Yo Narwhal. I read Hotel Story. Very nice work." Thanks, Alex. Did you read 1 and 2? You finished the whole thing? I believe I bet you did. But yes, thanks. That's awesome. Awesome one. Hank Engine is slept. Do you hear me, Jake? Suspect fantasy is I have to remain cynical. They might be redeemed, but run back to sloppiness. Yeah. But yeah, so Marty Supreme, it's a little bit like The Hustler. It has some hustler elements. I think there's a hustling scene in it, but it's all ping pong. And I'm curious to see how that holds up. If that is, and if we are like, you know, coming back a little bit, that would be sweet if that movie like is super legit. But it's weird. It's getting ranked on various lists. Some will like rate it number one. Some rate it tied with One Battle After the Another for one, and some rate it like 10 out of 20 or whatever. Everyone's saying it's good. It might get nominated for Best Picture or whatever. But yeah, and yeah, the other one, the year Brutalist was nominated, which is last year, it was Anora. So I really wanted to like Anora, and I actually bought it so I could, because they kind of trick you because you have to buy it to watch it. If you really want to watch it, you can rent it for $20. This is like when it first releases. You can rent it for $20 or you can buy it for 25. I was like, shit, I'll just buy it. And because I hadn't seen it in theaters because you couldn't see it. It didn't go out anywhere, but everyone was talking about it. And I was like, I like that movie a lot. That movie, yeah, it can't hold up to The Hustler, obviously. It's like pretty good, but yeah, I don't know. Could almost make a top 25 list in a way. But yeah, that's what's funny. So like a lot of movies, they don't even have, if you're, a top of the year. And so you're trying to make this list. Like, what are the movies? If you list 50 good movies, you've kind of almost got your bases covered pretty good there of this century. So of these 20, like what are the other ones Tarantino is talking about? Alex says Gary's my spirit animal. I like that. I'm glad you like Gary. I love him. He's my favorite character. And I almost want to say Chuck is up there too, but Chuck's been getting mixed reactions. So I wonder if, because he's a little more annoying. He's just an asshole. Gary's kind of like such a piece of shit that he's not even lovable, but it's just so fun to commit fully to the epic bit that he's just the biggest piece of shit. Gary does meow. And yeah, so I'm scrolling down and we're kind of looking at kind of what people are saying. So they're laughing at Dunkirk. Whatever, Dunkirk is good. That's one I don't get either. I'm like, that movie's good. Yeah, this one's funny. Yeah, what about Fast X, F9, F8 of the Furies, Furious 7? What about Fast Furious 6? What about Fast 5? What about Fast and Furious, the fourth one? What about Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift? What about Too Fast? Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people saying obviously these are like mainstream picks is Zodiac and There Will Be Blood. Zodiac is awesome. I rewatched it fairly recently. I think I've seen it quite a few times. It's never boring. It's awesome. I kind of feel that way about The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and The Social Network a little bit. But Social Network, that was on Tarantino's. When he had it on his best of that decade. But that's a weak decade, remember? And then he just dropped it on this list. He didn't think about it. But There Will Be Blood. I think There Will Be Blood is one that right-wing film Twitter hates. And left-wing film Twitter likes it, but you can see their cope, the ways that they try to like justify liking it. And yeah, I was thinking it hasn't aged well in my mind, other than I remember it kind of blew in my mind when I saw it, like, crazy performances, crazy music, kind of weird storytelling, kind of like an artsy movie that's pretty good or whatever. But that's another one where a little bit in that Parasite vein where maybe you'd say it's like mean-spirited, which mean-spirited that's not even a bad thing necessarily. Movies definitely have a ranking of spiritedness if it's mean versus like super wholesome or something. Like actually Midnight in Paris is the opposite of mean-spirited. But I don't know if that's actually the same line there, but that one is like, I don't know, like wholesome, feel good, kind of fun, but not schmaltz either necessarily, because that's just kind of a different thing that's a little more negative. But yeah, like, yeah, I mean, I think someone was talking about Terrifier. Like, I would almost put Terrifier on a list as like a special, notable, memorable movie. Started a franchise. Everyone's talking about it, but Terrifier is fun. It was Spum on Twitter was talking about this, but he said it's like postmodern in a good way, not necessarily a bad way, like a postmodern horror movie, or like I think he called it postmodern. So like postmodern is Scream, which is amazing. I love that movie. And then like what Scream is reacting to would be like not postmodern. That's like just straight up uh Friday the 13th, Halloween, blah blah blah. But yes, and then a reaction to the reaction is like Terrifier, which is almost like a return. But Terrifier has a little postmodern twist on it ish, where it the thing it takes it. I wonder if Spum even said this too. I'm not sure, but it makes it so mean spirited that there's a self awareness to the mean spiritedness, even though there's not necessarily a self awareness to the actual movie itself as it's happening. It plays everything very straight, but it's so mean spirited that it kind of relieves that tension, that it comes back around and becomes a little bit self-aware, but without winking at you. And because there is a weird thing about Terrifier where I actually don't like those kind of movies, torture porn or torture movies. I don't like them. I won't watch them. And that one I didn't watch for the longest time. I did randomly give it a chance, and I really liked it. And it does have kind of a lot of gore, and you could say it's so over the top that even the gore isn't super gross. That's kind of true. That's a little like postmodern, but it's not like it's winking at the camera necessarily. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but Terrifier is kind of one that could go on the list or whatever. Um yeah, Black Hawk Down. Why didn't he put Gladiator? Yeah, I guess Gladiator might have been 2001, actual 2001 movie. So Black Hawk Down is like 2002, 2003. Maybe it is post 9/11. Um Shaun of the Dead, sure. Yeah, so someone's like, why isn't The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford on there? Like, that movie was slow and boring. Shut the hell up. Like, but sure, you can throw it on the top 50. If we're just trying to make a top 50, like, why isn't Zodiac number one? Uh, yeah, some of Tarantino's movies. Unstoppable. That's another one that deserves a rewatch based on Tarantino putting it so high in the list. I think I remember him saying he did love it when it came out. So that's kind of fun, And I think that movie, I think that's why a part of why he likes Chris Pine a lot. But actually, I was like, Chris Pine hasn't been in a Tarantino movie. He kind of missed the era too. But I was gonna say one other thing. Black Hawk Down. It got mentioned by Ridley Scott in an interview recently too. So it kind of has been popping back up. And sometimes these movies will have this like 20-year thing where they circle back. But it was interesting what Ridley Scott said about it is he kind of said he couldn't remember making it and he was surprised at how good it was when he rewatched it. And cuz he's old now, And yeah, that movie is like no CGI, kind of pre-ish CGI stuff. It's like real helicopters, real explosions, real RPGs. And that alone is kind of special. And I think that's one thing Tarantino likes about it is because he's gonna maybe make his 10th movie. I think he's getting old and lazy. He might not do it. And he's apparently he's making a play for a little bit. But yeah, like a pure cinematic movie where it takes like a year to shoot just because it's so crazy. And then people who just bust it out and they have to black it out because it's so intense, the workload or whatever. Because that's more what Ridley Scott had going on. It's not like he's losing his mind and forgot. It's more like, no, try making a movie working a year straight on this stuff to do it for reals, where you're not putting everything on a green screen. And that's like an era too. Like I was trying to think of like what are like the number one things that people will kind of tend to agree on, and then people might be contrarian against it or not. One that a lot of people say is like, we need less CGI. We like practical effects. And right wing film Twitter will actually be contrarian against that and say CGI is actually good. But the twist I kind of put on it is it's like no green screen. If anyone wants to argue for green screen, I really just disagree. Like if we like again, if you go back to old movies, like this is an obvious one. And some people say this is the best movie of all time, but Lawrence of Arabia, another one with super intense, awesome psychology. And obviously it's all shot like for reals in the desert. It looks amazing. You just can't beat it. And that's like this kind of like when people talk about cinema, that's like kind of what you picture. And picture the ultimate anti-cinema thing being green screen, and it brings down other stuff if you do that too. But I don't know, except for maybe like the one or two movies that did it so deliberately as like almost postmodern kind of thing of embracing it, like 300 and Sin City, which I'm kind of surprised one of those didn't make the list for Tarantino, especially maybe like Sin City because that's again one of his buddies' movies. Somehow I ended watching a bit of Normie Comics stream of people that love Marvel and DC no matter what. I was scared to chat. Oh yeah, that's funny. Are there still people like that? I feel like they've been getting a little better supposedly too. The era of them being super terrible is a little bit over. I don't know. Um, didn't David Fincher direct Zodiac? He did. Actually, this is another funny thing. I guess David Fincher signed a contract with Netflix a while ago, but he kind of works exclusively with them. And so yeah, he made Zodiac, which is like amazing. He made the movies in the 90s are amazing, but he kept the streak going. Like Zodiac's amazing. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is amazing. Except for that one, there is stuff about the story that pisses me off and it almost ruins it for me. Borderline, you could call it like plot holes, I guess. And it's only one. I can tell it, you guys, because right in the beginning, it's the intro. They give an intro to beef up some intrigue, and it's where he hires the detective because he says the killer has been mailing him something that only his like granddaughter who went missing, he and her had this special inside joke where she loved this certain kind of flower, and the killer has been mailing her these flowers once a year every year since her disappearance, and he wants her to catch the killer. And the twist at the end is it wasn't the killer sending him, it was her. Sorry, spoilers, sorry. But yeah, it was her. She's not dead. She escaped and is okay, and she's just been sending him flowers because as sentimental to let kind of hint to him that she's okay. Uh, and that weirded me out a little bit. I'm like, I feel like it would be obvious, or at least even the line, he would say like, okay, so it's two things. Either the killer's doing it or she's still alive. I want you to help me find her. I think she might still be alive. Like that would be true. That would be what he would actually say, but then you don't get the intrigue. So they definitely like make him dumb and say a dumb thing just to get the intrigue. And I hate that. Like I almost can't rewatch it now. Um, I saw a girl crying outside the Dragon Tattoo. I slapped her on the ass and told her to get back in there for the good part. You made me read that out loud. No, you didn't make me, but um, I recently rewatched Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Could definitely see the reflection of light from a little blue screen. Yeah, I mean they did do a little bit of that. Matte, I mean even like yeah, matte paintings, like back in the day, but matte paintings were like epic and like fun, and when they did that stuff it was like so cool. And yeah, it's a little different. I think partly cuz they kind of had to pick their battles cuz even a matte painting is kind of crazy to pull off and you might not nail it. And yeah, like that's the thing. Green screen, they just kind of like it's the word people have been throwing around is like slop. Um, yeah, 9 people watching. How's it going, everyone? We haven't even got to the other thing I kind of want to talk about, which is this interesting thing. I want to talk about it a little bit on Creative Block too, but um, it's is it? Oh yeah, well, let's scroll a little bit more to see if the. I just want to point out, like, people aren't really naming that many other movies. That's what's weird. It's hard to think of. So, like, okay, what would you hate his list? What would you put on there? Don't tell me the order would change. Like, what else would you put on? Like, people are like, oh, 1917. I'm like, nah, whatever, whatever. Uh, let me see if there's any. Oh, some people were saying, why isn't Lord of the Rings? Like, I guess whatever. That that could make a list. Yeah, sure. It didn't make Tarantino's list. Didn't expect Black Hawk Down #1. Given this movie tend to be more satirical, might have given another shot. In which case, there's some deeper social commentary. That's when people are like, "Oh, the social commentary is that it's propaganda." But I kind of like my take on it. It's like it's a zombie movie. It's awesome. I do Black Hawk Down favorite movie. Borderline, me too. It was awesome. Uh, S tier list. Black Hawk Down, great war movie. Zodiac's great. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are kind of agreeing, but yeah, kind of hard to find top 10. So Fight Club is in the 90s. So American Psycho, sure. They put Tron Legacy. I don't know about that. See, Whiplash makes this list. See, like people put The Greatest Showman. Like, there's like okay movies. There's movies people like. What is there? That's all we have. We haven't been getting that many good movies. It's like all we have is movies that people like. Various people will like them. They can put them on their list. You almost can't make a unified list. And if anyone tried, it would just cause more. If they claim that, that causes more hate and discussion or whatever. Um, but yeah, I'll almost stop scrolling here, but I kind of feel like, how did you miss The Social Network? Objectively bad, top 10. That's where I'm like, a lot of people are saying that. I'm like, and also they're saying like, oh, so confusing. Well, I'm more confused yet by people's reaction than the one thing that confused me was Black Hawk Down getting top of all time, but not that I even am against it. I'm just curious about it. Yeah, variety of choices, every kind of movie in it. I think it's a good list. I like it. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that's kind of my point is what the hell else even goes on the list? Maybe there's a better spot. What if we look at can I find like best picture nominees every year? That might be a list. I might have this. Well, here's a long ass list. I don't know if this is. Let's look at this real fast. To give you an example. Can you guys see this? Okay. Nomadland. That's from 2020. I don't know. See, a bunch of these I'm not going to know. But I'm like, okay, so there are movies we haven't heard of. Maybe some of them are great, but I got a feeling a lot of these are like not as great as we think, or they kind of suck or whatever. The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank. Mank was a David Fincher movie. It kind of sucked. 2 hours and 11 minutes. But yeah, so David Fincher though, the funny thing is he had to announce his next movie, and there's two supposedly he's working on. One is he's doing a Tarantino script that is a spin-off of Cliff Booth from starring Brad Pitt from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And then so he's Tarantino's bitch basically on that one. And then on the other one, they say he's doing the American remake of Squid Game, which is he's Korea's bitch. He's been relegated to like the lowest levels of slop content making, where he used to make some of the best movies for sure. What happened? Yeah, like it's kind of sad. I don't know. His last movie that's real is The Killer, which again I want to rewatch that because I feel like I bet you it holds up. I remember that one pretty fondly. Movies they can be weird when you have really strong expectations going in. That's what people will encourage, like going with no expectations on most movies. That's the best way to go, but can't help it sometimes. You go in with expectations, and if it doesn't align, you can kind of have a misreading. That's why a lot of movies you want to watch twice because you can kind of take it in a little bit. Yeah, I saw Minari. I did not like that movie. Promising Young Woman, nah. Sound of Metal, no. Trial of Chicago 7. A lot of these are propaganda. Not that that's disqualifying, but Parasite. That is one that a lot of people are like, why wasn't that on Tarantino's list? And then a lot of people being like, right wing film Twitter being like, thank God it's not on his list. But yeah, Parasite from 2019. Ford v Ferrari. Like, imagine if that was like on your top 20. Like, if that's all we have to show, I haven't even seen it, but if that's all we have, we got nothing. Like, Joker, like that's all you got for your top 20. This is now we're doing hypotheticals if this was on the top 20. Like Joker, I know some people like it. I know it made $1 billion, but Joker I was kind of lame. I don't know. Sorry if people liked it. Marriage Story, that's another one. It got hyped up so much when it came out. I maybe I'm talking too much shit here, but my point is all these movies are kind of forgettable, not that great, and it's like, what do you even put on the list? It has to be kind of autobiographical. Just yeah, pick some special little movies that you like. Other people probably won't like your list. That's just the way it goes. Um, and I don't know, yeah, ways you could like improve the list, like maybe getting Pirates of the Caribbean on there or The Ring, get a Gore Verbinski movie in there, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, Marriage Story was like not that good. You know what's funny though? Marriage Story, it got hyped up so much and I think it made pretty good money. And then that director, Noah Baumbach, he got a big shot in Hollywood because of that movie. He got to make a big budget like post-apocalyptic action movie and he made a terrible movie and it bombed and now he's in director jail. So that's funny. I've never particularly liked him. He's another one where it doesn't feel like the psychology is solid compared to like yeah, like 1960s, even 70s movies, 50s movies where yeah, like The Hustler or whatever, like psychology just on such a interesting level. Marriage Story was not there. One thing with The Hustler I'm trying to think is like one thing it had is like, you know, it's kind of a minimalist-ish movie, like, and I really like that about it. Very simple, almost like, you know, three characters pretty much. You know, there are some other characters, but it's mostly about three characters. It's George C. Scott, it's Paul Newman, and it's the woman. And the woman, I forget her name, but is it Joan Crawford? Maybe I don't know. Sorry if I'm mixing this up, but she ends up being a famous old lady in like the 80s and 90s. She's every old lady actress. She's one of the main old lady actresses. But I'm like, oh, this is when she was young. She's pretty when she was young. Like I didn't know. Whatever. It's fun to see that kind of. But um, so yeah, those characters like, are they worthy of like being specifically even the men are like super iconic beyond like archetypal, just like super awesome characters where everything they say is interesting because of where they're coming from. Um, and that's really fun. It's the kind of movie definitely you'd think about the next day after you watch it. I kind of want to watch it again, you know, pretty soon here maybe. But yeah, so the Irishman, yeah, like, some of these are gonna kind of fall down the memory hole if they haven't already. You know, like I don't really see Marriage Story aging like super well. People aren't gonna like. It's not gonna make lists. Irishman, same thing. The Brutalist, for example, same thing. 1917 maybe will age well. Maybe we'll make some lists. Jojo Rabbit, I saw it. It was okay. I don't know. Little Women was good, pretty good. Old Timothy Chalamet's in it on his up and coming, his generational run. That could make a top 20 and not be insane. I think maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood could make a top 20, not be insane. Green Book won Best Picture at some point, I think, and it's an anti-racism movie. Nobody cares about it. It makes lists of like worst Best Picture winners and stuff. Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite. Some of these I've heard of, you know, A Star is Born, Vice, Shape of Water won Best Picture. I've never seen it. I think it might be okay. That one might be aging slightly better than people think. It got a lot of shit. I remember when it came out. It's our boy Guillermo del Toro right there. Uh, Dunkirk was on the list. Three Billboards. Never seen it. Um, that one feels like it could be a real movie, which is still kind of Coen Brothers esque, but like an actual movie, not some trash or whatever. That was from 2017. Lady Bird, The Post, Get Out. Get Out is one that people would claim should make the list and definitely probably shouldn't. Um, Call Me by Your Name, Darkest Hour, Moonlight. Yeah, these are all just dropping down the memory hole. You can remember some of them got hype as they come out, like Moonlight, um, even maybe Call Me by Your Name. That was another Chalamet generational run movie though, so that one might age well. It's also Luca Guadagnino. Luca Guadagnino. Uh, yeah. Let's scroll a little bit more here. Hell or High Water. It's a good movie. Whatever. It's La La Land. That is the Whiplash guy, and some people love that. Manchester by the Sea. I want to say that movie's crap. It's written by a playwright. You know, it's like kind of good or whatever. It's kind of sad, obviously, but maybe it's crap. Maybe it's mean spirited. I don't know. I wonder what right wing Twitter thinks about that one. Um, but there was a playwright who died recently, and people were singing his praises as they do when you die. I wish I could remember his name, but they said he wrote Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. I think he wrote, which is like a '90s movie. Um, and he's kind of in the David Mamet school. He's like friends with David Mamet, so they're these playwrights who dabble in film, and that guy. And I kind of want to check him out. I bet his stuff's good, and that's '90s. '90s is way more trustworthy than, especially 2010 and after or whatever. Spotlight. Remember, people were trying to say that movie was great. It was trash. I never saw it. The Big Short, trash. Some of this is like, you know what a lot of these are? They're people trying to make movies as the thing is happening. So they're trying to be like of the moment, ripped from the headlines, modern, and they kind of age bad in my how I feel. Maybe The Big Short doesn't, but I feel like it ages bad. Spotlight ages bad. Like nobody cares about freaking the 2008 crash, or I think this was the big scandal with the Catholic Church. Bridge of Spies, Brooklyn, Mad Max. Oh, so this made Tarantino's list, and right wing film Twitter doesn't like this movie. I think it's just because they don't like Charlize Theron and they don't like the fact that Whammon is kind of the main character. But this movie's awesome, and Charlize Theron's performance is awesome. I hate her in real life. I think she has a trans kid that she's mentally ill. She's mentally ill for abusing this trans kid. But and there's other ways where she sucks too. But her performance is really awesome in this movie. Um, the main thing about it is she doesn't deliver lines like sometimes if a woman trying to be badass, you know, they kind of talk like a man or whatever. She talks like a woman, and that makes the character so awesome. And Max is awesome in it, and it has kind of very little CGI. They did everything for real, captured these amazing stunts, which is a lot of fun. I love this movie. I would definitely put that. It's special. It's like a lot of them. You got to give it a little special, little gold star, irrespective of maybe how good it is, even. But if it gets the gold star, like Terrifier can get a gold star, um, Jackass the movie can get a gold star. There are these ways that it becomes special, then it can go on the list. And that's a pretty good way to justify it being on a list like that in a century that hasn't had that many good movies yet, really, or whatever. And that's kind of a lot of what Tarantino's doing. Um, yeah, The Martian. Okay, that movie might be good. I haven't seen it. Should I? Let me know in the chat if I should watch that. But The Revenant, that was one that won Best Picture. Look, it's 2.5 hours. I like that length. I like longer movies, but this movie was like, it wasn't terrible, but it's a little forgettable. I don't know if anyone's rewatching this movie. Um, yeah, it was a little forgettable, and it didn't have a heart. Didn't have much of a heart in it. Whatever. Room made a splash, but it's this is the actress that people don't like. She's great in it though. Brie Larson. Um, that movie that could almost get a gold star and make the list, but it kind of has fallen down the memory hole. Um, Birdman, I feel like that could almost make the list. I'm a little surprised. Maybe it's not. That's kind of a fun one. That's another one I wonder if like right wing film Twitter hates it or something. But that movie I remember being kind of awesome. Hated The Martian, but I'm in the industry and it offended me on a technical details. Oh yeah, see, that'll ruin it for me too, even though I don't know what I'm talking about. But American Sniper, that could almost get a little gold star. Oh, maybe that's the wrong term, but American Sniper gets accused of being right wing propaganda. Made in an era kind of where there's still blind spots around that, where they weren't super against it, or they weren't worried about accidentally making right wing propaganda. They just want to make good movies. Left wing, especially as it's aged, left wing hates it. And I've never seen it. I bet you it's good though. Um, so yeah, that's the one that interesting one. Boyhood. I don't know. It's like a gimmick. A lot of another thing is there's a lot of gimmicks. Birdman is a gimmick. Room has a fucking gimmick. The Revenant was a gimmick. Literally gimmicks. My God. We have too many fucking gimmicks. 2017 is a gimmick. I like gimmicks, I would say. I was going to say that, but now we have too many. Do you guys know, like, without me saying them, do you know the gimmicks? Like, The Revenant is shot like all natural light with extended shots done for real, shot on location. I mean, shot on location, I do love that. But in the ice cold, that's kind of the gimmick of The Revenant. Uh, Room is like the gimmick is well, I'm like, is this even a gimmick? But it's in two parts. Like they're being held captive by like a serial killer type guy for the first movie, for the first half, a woman and a child, and then they do escape halfway, and it's actually awesome. It's like so intense. It's amazing. And then the second half is just them kind of living back into society after being held captive for so long. But yeah, kind of a gimmick. Birdman's a gimmick, all one shot, all talkie. Uh, American Sniper, Boyhood's a gimmick, which I haven't seen. Maybe it's good, but long ass movie. I like long movies though, but if long movies are long and freaking bullshit, then that pisses you off even more. I'm gonna gimmick this list. Uh, I've been here when he started the list, and I don't even know. I get down with gimmicks, nail bunnies. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like my comics, Foreign Agent has multiple gimmicks. That might be the main one. I'm trying to think if any other ones have like actual gimmicks. The Imitation Game, Grand Budapest Hotel. That's kind of a fun one, but whatever. Like, are you gonna put? That's one thing you can look at it too. Is like, what are our great famous directors? You know, you just put some movies from their list from them on it. And yeah, it's like Nolan, Tarantino, the Parasite guy. Like that's another one where right wing film Twitter has this take where they're like, yeah, none of these people are good. People like Luca Guadagnino, the guy who did Dune. What's his name? Denis Villeneuve. Denis Villeneuve. You know, he did a movie. Shit, what's it called? About like a serial killer type of thing, detective story. I really like that one, but I, yeah, I don't know. Selma, Theory of Everything, Whiplash. See, I guess this one has remained in the conversation the entire time since it came out, 2014. That one, whether you like it or not, it's standing the test of time. It's a special little movie. I would expect that to make some lists. It's kind of an iconic movie. I haven't seen it. I kind of don't know. I might made it this long. I might not watch it. I just watched The Hustler, dog. Uh, 12 Years a Slave. That's I want to say is that borderline a gimmick movie? I don't know. American Hustle, Captain Phillips, Dallas Spires Club, Gravity. Like you wouldn't want to put any of these on your list. Wolf of Wall Street. Some people might put that one on. It's kind of fun, kind of a pretty iconic movie, but that's one like it's better in theory than in practice. You just love thinking about it and glad it exists. But if you actually watch it, you're like, am I bored? Like, what the fuck? This is a long movie about an asshole with no reason to keep watching. Um, Argo, that gets lists of best picture winners that didn't deserve it, but whatever. Beast of the Southern Wild, Zero Dark 30, and more, Silver Linings Playbook. That was a pretty good one. That's from a director who people kind of say is good that I think Right Wing might not like him too, but he has a reputation of being a dick in real life, which again, back and forth. Like sometimes that's fun. You get to make if they're actually like that, you're like, oh damn. Lincoln, Tarantino put one Spielberg. You know, Spielberg's getting old. His prime was like the 80s, 90s ish. And he continued to make pretty good movies, I guess, but at some point he kind of fell off maybe. But Tarantino put West Side Story on his top 20. Maybe that's when people would be like, what are you doing? But I don't know. I don't know. Life of Pi, Les Miserables, Django Unchained, The Artist. The Artist made a splash at the time when it came out, but everyone's forgotten about it. It was a silent film, I think. The Descendants. The Help, Hugo, Midnight in Paris. This one stands out even on this list. Midnight in Paris is a special little movie. Give it a gold star. Moneyball could almost get a gold star too, and Tarantino put it on his list. That one, I think it's written by the guy who's kind of famous, who writes everything that's supposedly good. Uh, he wrote Social Network, and was addicted to coke, and he wrote The West Wing. Blah blah blah. That guy. He's like one of the more iconic writers, kind of playwright esque writer, but I think he wrote Moneyball. And I think it's pretty good movie. War Horse. This is directed by Spielberg. You could almost give this one a gold star, but it's people so forgotten about it. I wonder if it'll ever get remembered. It's remembered by horse girls. They do remember it. I had to watch that just for Adrian Brody's Dali impression. The list has a lisp. Per, what is this list? I'm going to gimmick this list. This list supposedly is movies that have been nominated in this century for Best Picture. And we're seeing these are possibilities that you could put on a top 20. Because a lot of times if you think of best movies, you immediately go to 80s, 90s, or further back even. And then it's kind of easy to make a list of great movies, but it's kind of hard for modern movies. Okay, 127 Hours. Sure, that's an okay movie. That's a fucking gimmick, dog, though. You know what I mean? That ain't making no lists. That shit. I think, is it fair to say gimmick movies do not stand the test of time? They get forgotten. Nobody gives a crap. It's because they get, if you get disproportional hype because of the gimmick when it comes out, 127 Hours, oh my God, it's all in real time. It's him being stuck. It's just one guy for a whole movie. Just one guy stuck to a rock for 2 hours straight. And it's good. You won't believe it. It's actually good. Okay, whatever. Aronofsky might make a list of a good filmmaker, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Right Wing Film Twitter doesn't like him. I don't really like him. The Fighter, Inception. I love Inception. But it doesn't. I wouldn't give it a gold star. I just like it a lot, and it's a good Nolan movie. Kids Are All Right. Social Network, another good one. Probably wouldn't give it a gold star. Toy Story 3. See, I actually would give that a gold star because of the super weird story structure, which is really fun. This is one I really want to revisit because of Tarantino's list. I really want to rewatch Toy Story 3 and Black Hawk Down, because of his list. Favorite movies of the 1800s. True Grit, Hurt Locker. That one made a big splash when it came out. It might get, sometimes movies have a 20-year cycle where they kind of get reevaluated, and that hasn't come yet for this movie. It might come later. Serious Man, Education, Avatar. It's another one. Although I actually liked Avatar 2 a lot. Better than the first. And I'm going to see the third. Inglourious Bastards, Precious, Blindside, Up in the Air. None of these movies. Curious Case of Benjamin Button. That's a Fincher movie, kind of fun. It's a gimmick, another gimmick one. Freaking gimmicks, dog. They're we'll get a little extra marketing. Let's do the gimmick. The gimmick there is Brad Pitt aging in reverse. We're going to do young Brad Pitt. You guys, you haven't seen him in a while. We're going to get young Brad Pitt. Check it out. Stay till the end, though, to see young Brad Pitt. Because he's aging in reverse. Get it? Frost, Nixon. The Reader. No Country for Old Men makes a ton of people's list. People still talk about it. Everyone's always talking about it. It's a great movie. It wasn't on Tarantino's list, but you could put that on a list and nobody would argue. Yeah, There Will Be Blood's one kind of funny. It's I kind of don't like it the more I think about it, but I'm scared to rewatch it. Partly because it's kind of long and I just don't want to. The Departed's fun. The Departed supposedly doesn't hold up to scrutiny of as far as plot holes go, but I don't know. I remember liking it. Letters from Iwo Jima, Little Miss Sunshine, The Queen, Crash. Crash was one that like one Best Picture. It was before the era of insufferable like liberal fantasies, and I think Crash is insufferable liberal fantasy before that became a really pernicious thing in the industry or whatever. Um, I kind of want to rewatch it just for that reason. And yeah, it did not make a list, but you could almost give it a gold star because it's like, assuming it's actually like kind of watchable, you could give it a gold star. Uh, that one is definitely worth rewatching. I wouldn't be surprised if that makes some kind of that would get people talking if Tarantino would have put that on the list. That's funny. Brokeback Mountain Brokeback Mountain kind of fell off. I mean, it's pretty iconic, but fell off. People forgot about it. Memory hole. Million Dollar Baby, The Aviator, Finding Neverland, Ray, Sideways, Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. Lost in Translation, that's one that made Tarantino's list. Kind of want to revisit that too because I haven't seen it in so long. Master and Commander, that movie's awesome. A lot of people like that. Right wing people love it, I'm pretty sure, because it's just so classic. And it was from a book series. Like I wish there would have been more. Um, but that's a great movie. But I don't know what you put that in that category. I don't know if it's good enough to make those lists or not. You're like, yeah, it's like pretty good. It's really good. But I don't know, is it like better than Gladiator? Not really. Gladiator is like the super mainstream one. This one doesn't necessarily beat it. Mystic River, Chicago, Gangs of New York, The Hours, Lord of the Rings, The Pianist, Beautiful Mind. All these movies are forgettable. Forgettable. Gladiator could make the list. It's been rediscovered. People have been talking about it. Although I haven't rewatched it, I'm a little scared to rewatch it, but I think it's good. Chocolate that made Tarantino's list. I think that's another one that's like the opposite of mean spirited is how I remember it. I don't know if I barely remember it at all. Don't really remember anything other than Juliette Binoche. Crouching Tiger, that was a good one. That can make a list. But then we're getting, it gets heavily stacked. I think that's natural though. Totally, things have gone slightly downhill. Crouching Tiger was amazing. Could totally make a list. Traffic, that was another kind of like discourse movie, early kind of thing. Cider House Rules, Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense is 1999. Oh, now we're getting older, so maybe we'll stop. Yeah, we went all the way back. So we did 150. Yeah, and that covers almost 20 years of nominations. Because I think they changed it to 10 at some point, but it was only 5 for a long time. So, yeah. You need some Xanax so you can enjoy movies again. Well, if I sound negative, I'm just going in the context of like, why are people upset by Tarantino's list? What would they rather put on it? I don't know. But I do kind of feel like, yeah, modern movies aren't as good. I mean, like, you could watch in these movies, they'd be good, but I do kind of like miss, like, I like the gold star feeling. Watching a gold star movie feels fun when you're doing it too. You get a little sense like, oh, this is special. I haven't seen anything like this in a while or ever. This is fun. Sometimes there can be outside context with that. Sometimes not. Sometimes just itself, the movie itself. A lot of times it's rediscovering older movies can kind of give you that feeling. And then just watching like, yeah, like old, really great older movies, but you aren't always in the mood. Like I started a pretty good Italian Western the other day and I watched like 20 minutes. I was like, this is pretty good. I turned it off. I'll probably rewatch. I'll probably finish it at some point, but I haven't revisited it. You just got to be in the mood. Go through these phases of what you're in the mood for. Awesome. What's this? Oh, it's Tarantino's list we're talking about. Yeah. Um, yes. And I was gonna say, I don't know if it's, you know, I think there was a big thing I want to talk about. Maybe we can do a quick version of it. Let me find it here. So go to my bookmarks. Uh, it's right here. So Genuine Class goes, a lot of YouTuber explainer criticism is pretty much this. Reminds me of Francis Ford Coppola saying that critics and studio executives were basically the same people. I think that's kind of that Coppola take yeah, is like a derogatory take on executives, which in general people feel that way. Which is actually funny. Can you picture like a great executive? I'm sure maybe they have existed, but cough cough Harvey Weinstein. No, just kidding. Um, but yeah, and then yeah, criticism, same thing. It's like a lot of it is like kind of like slop. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so this is what he's talking about. This guy Spum. It's a good account. Recommend following and genuine class. But documents circulated among Disney employees sometime in the mid 90s mocking how modern Disney TV animation story approval process, this is like executives giving notes, would go for how it would go for Jack and the Beanstalk. And yeah, let me see if I can just click on it. Well, let me, sorry, I think, okay, cool. Yeah, I can read it here. You guys can see. So that if Jack and the Beanstalk were being written today here at Walt Disney TV Animation, it would not get approved. So yeah, his point is like we have become, this is in the mid 90s, mind you. He's like, we've become so like focused on thinking we know the craft of storytelling and like the little formulas that you got to apply and the little beats you got to hit and stuff, and how we're putting everything through this. What would like cut to the future, it's almost like putting it through an AI algorithm, you know? But they had like human versions of this, like, got to check these boxes, got to do these things. Are we doing it? Check every story and make sure we're doing it. And it can be in earnest and like with positive intentions, and it can be something that would like lead to Toy Story, which is I think kind of like I think this is one reason why right wing Twitter, the contrarian side that I like a lot, why they kind of hate Toy Story is because it kind of is this cancer that led to this, what we're about to read. But yeah, so let me see what he says. So it would not get approved. So these are the example notes you would get. So say you turn in Jack and the Beanstalk. And for this to kind of hit, you have to accept the premise that Jack and the Beanstalk is a classic, awesome story, which I fully agree with. I've read like a ton of fairy tales. I have a little collection by Fritz Lang, multiple books, like 4 big tomes of fairy tales. I read them all. And yeah, Jack and the Beanstalk's one, but Jack is kind of this character who fights giants. There's multiple Jack the Giant Slayer stories, and Jack from multiple like cultures, you know, even. But Jack and the Beanstalk is just one of them, and it's, you know, arguably the best, but it's a lot of fun. There's a really great animated movie, which is like half anime, but like from the 70s, called Jack and the Beanstalk, which is public domain. It's free on YouTube. It's one of my favorite movies. I love it. And yeah, Jack and the Beanstalk is amazing. But okay, so here's the notes they would say. How can they be so poor they're starving if they've got a cow? Can't they just eat the cow? Jack's mom is way too mean. Make her nicer. We can't have Jack trade the cow for beans, which haven't been proven to be magic. You, it makes Jack too stupid. Have the mysterious stranger clearly demonstrate the beans' magic. Isn't that funny? Isn't this like hilarious? You can see this. This especially applies to like today. That's what I'm saying. It's like this is funny back then, and maybe back then people would be like, "Ha ha, you're kind of straw manning though. This is like too extreme to actually be real, be funny." It's like, oh my god, this is what they do. They put anything through, put like a beautiful outside the box story that's playing to the tune of its own drum, you know, marching to the beat of its own drum kind of thing, like Jack and the Beanstalk, coming from, you know, like also like just like ancient history, oral tradition, and just like so much fun, awesomeness about Jack and the Beanstalk, and then just like ruining it with like modern ideas on storytelling or whatever. That's why I think the gold star, I give it to like anything just getting outside the box of even like 3 act structure or like Hero's Journey or whatever. I don't know if they mentioned like Hero's Journey on these notes, but we'll see if it comes up. But um, if they're really magic beans, why would anyone trade them away for a normal old cow? Again, don't have the mother berate Jack for trading the cow for beans. Have her believe Jack, and together they anxiously plant the seeds and wait for the magic to begin. A magic beanstalk that grows overnight and a giant at the top living in a cloud castle are more than enough fantasy elements for one story. Please remove the goose that lays the golden eggs, or this will have no basis in reality and no one will relate to it. Dude, this is hilarious. This could be like animated as a little comic somehow. I don't know. This deserves to be. I think it did kind of go viral, but the more people see this and laugh at this, the better. Is fee fi fo fum public domain? Change it just in case, but don't actually check. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. Smell the blood of an Englishman. How about shoes? Or maybe I can see the hat of an Englishman. Grinding of bones to bake my bread is too Jeffrey Dahmer-esque. Make sure the giant doesn't imply that he will kill or torture Jack. He should be chasing Jack because he's curious about this tiny person. And yeah, this is like just notes and criticism. Like a lot of criticism is like this today too. That's what's weird. Like, uh, just like, you know, pointing out what I would have done based on, what you should have done. These are the rules of what you're supposed to follow. This is what you should have done. Uh, Jack cannot chop down the beanstalk. Even if he proved he didn't know the giant was on it at the time. This would translate to negligent homicide. Have him accidentally chop the beanstalk and have something the giant does cause it to topple. Oh my God. That's another one's like so ridiculous. It's hard to believe. And you're like, nope, they do that. They actually literally do that in modern stories. They'd be like, Jack has to be likable. We can't have him actually kill the giant. Have the giant kind of accidentally kill himself, basically. And Jack just gets lucky. They would literally do that. Jack's mother, who had previously been a mean type, gladly welcomes him. Now he's got an armload of loot. This sends a very bad message. Have her genuinely worried about his safety instead. Now that the golden goose is removed, this should be easy to do. Could we make Jack a girl? Oh my God. Oh my God. I didn't know that last line was because I haven't read this far down. Yeah. This is funny because this is like an odd white pill for me, like because I just feel like sort of vindicated. I feel like, uh, I mean, a lot of people might feel this way. For one, of just complaining about modern stuff, and then you read this, you're like, oh my God. But definitely, like if I were to just think about my own stuff, I try to avoid like these kind of notes. I just try to avoid it and do something a little outside the box. A lot of what I would like, I love Jack and the Beanstalk. It's literally like one of my favorite stories. So, and there's another fairy tale from that book that I have like mapped out that I want to do a comic of one day. That is, just another really good fairy tale. But I hate those kind of stories making men weak on the inside and make women strong boss gals with no development whatsoever. Yeah. Tarantino list, yeah. Um, but yeah, so yeah, it's fun to read that with you guys. I'm gonna end pretty soon. I was wondering if I had any closing thoughts here. What was I gonna say? Um, yeah, just that you can get kind of outside the box if you can with like, but it's weird. Yeah, you open yourself up to like not everyone's gonna like the story or whatever sometimes. Because that I don't know. Yeah, Jack and the Beanstalk. You almost could like criticize it like today with these some even like yeah, some of it you could borderline like criticize like quote unquote for reals or whatever, but you just got to ignore some of that. You got to like the fact embrace like the ether, something like that. Kind of escaping. It's really fun for me in reading stories. Like this came up. I think the number one thing I like about stories is if I can't predict them, and the number one thing, a lot of critics sometimes will get mad if they can't predict something because it's not following rules that they think it should follow, and that's a weird reaction if you can't predict something to not like it versus to kind of enjoy the process of not knowing what's going to happen. But yeah, so like the movies that I generally can't predict, they're all the more weird outside the box ones that don't follow the rules. And yeah, you could criticize them for not following the rules or whatever. And this is where you can kind of skip to the end. Like I feel like so one, you could like learn the rules and then break them, which that's good, but You could literally just skip to the end. I don't care. Like, just don't even learn the rules. That's like some of these older stories. They're like made before the rules were even established. So it's not, yeah, like Jack and the Beanstalk is like that. Zaid, what's up? What's up, Phil? Yeah. So that's about it. Gonna wrap up here. Sorry, Phil, if you just got here. Um, and yeah, think I'll catch you guys later. I'll be on Creative Block with Phil, Rini, and Jake. I think on Phil's channel tomorrow night. Did you get your books in Bean? Did you send in? Did I order a new bean? I can't remember. I have the old bean. Are we talking about shell bean? I did get the books. I need to read Magic Cop. I'll read it pretty soon. Haven't read that one yet, but I love the new series. I love the the Man with No Strings. It's got a good logo too. I love the logo, and the title has grown on me a lot. At first, I was because yeah, at first I'm like the Man with No Strings. Why isn't it the Man with No Name? Because that's like the thing you've heard, and then once you kind of get used to it, you're like, oh yeah, the Man with No Strings. That's badass. I think you got a new bean. I'll double check when I get it. I'll let you know. I want to build my collection. I think I did get it. I want 2 beans for show. Okay. All right, everyone. I'm gonna take off though. I'll catch everyone later. See ya. Thanks for hanging. I clicked the button.